Peter-Appleseed is here, the maker of a famous movie called People Eating, a documentary. Well, I might rename it as People Eating Stuff or People Eating Food. I haven't figured it out yet. It's taken me about 8 years so far, and I'm still not decided because it really is a big monumental task what I'm trying to do, and I want people to take it serious. But you asked me a question about chewing food and is it necessary, right? Well, it depends on what you're eating, and I do not chew applesauce. I don't chew pudding. There's some things that you can drink through a straw. That's fine. But if you don't chew your food, you basically become like a snake. Snakes digest their food a certain way. They do not chew. Okay? So you got to make your choices very carefully as to what you're going to eat. If you drink smoothies and you drink fresh juices, what else is there? Yogurt. You know things that are like juice or puree or things like that, like soup. You don't need to chew. But if you're talking about like walnuts, and you're talking about cauliflower, and you're talking about beef jerky, you're talking about eggs. I wouldn't think that it's any health benefit to just go without chewing those.
See, I'm looking at it as
But chewing slow is a good idea. Properly chewing is a whole art in itself. Most people don't know how.
Yeah, I'm looking at it in a perspective of a person who is trying to gain something from eating, instead of just like eating just to like crap it out. Like I'm thinking like,
You're talking about digestion and the end result of it.
All that stuff. Sometimes I feel like certain food, like maybe oatmeal, noodles, or whatever, like not kind of in the middle, because you said applesauce and you said walnuts. I'm saying, or eggs even. Like I'm saying something in the middle that you don't really necessarily need to chew for that.
Well,
what do you think about that?
No, I did some studies about chewing. What chewing actually does is that you actually start to digest the food when you chew it. So I'm going to do a whole lot of research on this and put this there because it's really something you need to read, because digestion starts the longer you have food that you're chewing. Like, I'm not talking about grinding it all the way down to the teeth touches the teeth. I'm talking about like just mashing it. Like turning it around and mashing it and mashing it and mashing it. What actually happens if you take the time, like 5 minutes or so, to do that with some food, it actually makes the saliva and digestive processes happen with the fluids. They're called enzymes and acids, and the liquid that's going to turn the food into blood. It's basically what it's doing. It's like making it into particles that are going to absorb through the system and enter the bloodstream.
Making my mouth water, dude.
No, that's the whole point. Because if you don't chew something, your body doesn't release that the watering fluid, which is the thing that we digest with. So if you don't do that enough, you don't do chewing enough, and you don't do like the food that has to stay here, and then it's going to stay in the stomach for another 10, 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. Then it's going to go down the digestive tract. So all that is the process of just squeezing it out. See, our body is actually a juicer. So if you look at the way they design juicers, the first part is you chop it up till it gets into the opening. Then it goes, what does it go through? It goes like teeth. It goes through like a grinding process, and it has to finish getting through that, then get to the next one where it gets squeezed through. And it just, they just mash or just squeeze real hard to get the juice out of it. So our body is actually the inspiration, the design for making these machine juicers. So that's why I said about juice and smoothies. If you don't want to chew your food, you have to make the machine, the food machine, do the work for you. And then you go like, go. You don't have to chew that. But actually, what I recommend, if you're on mostly a juice diet, or smoothies or purees or that kind of a thing, like raw food, if you're on that, then what you should be doing is like holding it in your mouth for a while and like just moving it around so it will cause the digestion to start to happen. But if you just go like you did with the sparkling water, you just go, you know, like you're not giving your body any chance to start the digestion process because it hasn't stayed like slow enough getting into your system. When it goes in too fast, your body's not going to start the digestion because it's just going to be like, oh, I didn't know there's any food.
Here's
timing.
a theory. So you think that, yeah, timing, like
chewing is
it's like
creates more time
in your brain. It's like, okay, wait a minute. So I got this food in my mouth. I need to activate these little particle things that I have, these stimulators that like you don't really think about. You know what I'm saying?
It's the internal pieces of your body. They're the parts of your body. Now,
we are
however,
machines.
We can be looked at as a machine. We're like a living machine. So a machine is not as good. You know, like that, not like that kind of incomplete thinking. But the fact is that we operate according to these parts that we have that are alive. So you can circumvent this if you are smart enough to make your brain say, oh, in the next minute I'm going to eat something, and then command your body to start watering and have this fluid of the digestion happening with the enzymes. If you use your brain to tell it to do that, and you can make it like on command, snapping your finger really quick, do that, then you don't have to do the chewing. Because the chewing is one of these like biological instinctual things that makes the digestion process start. And it's connected with the brain. But to use your brain, like the superior brain, and give it a command, like you do with like a muscle, like bend my arm, pull this lever, you know, but if you can do that with yourself internally, then, you know, so be it. But if you don't have that command of your internal body, then you have to do the things like chewing that will make it do what it needs to do naturally, and maybe you want to call it evolutionary system that's been developed by evolution or by just design, the biology of it. I'm not saying that you can't, but until you develop that, you know, you can't fool yourself and say, oh yeah, I'm telling my brain to do this and I can just go, whoop, you know, and it goes through my system and down into my stomach within 2 minutes or less. I haven't chewed it, but I guess it's going to digest anyhow. You know, you've got to be really clear. Have you started the enzymes up? How do you know? Are you doing chemical tests? Can you feel it? Can you hear it? Can you like my stomach will gurgle, or you'll hear something like actually saliva is, when you talked about chewing, we didn't talk enough about saliva here. Saliva, when you spit on someone like it's an insult, that's wrong. That's totally wrong, because your saliva is so much more important than just losing it on the ground or spitting on someone that you don't like. Why would you put spit on someone you don't like? Spit is the thing that's making you live. It's the first process that starts to get you food into your system. See, so saliva is important. Your saliva is used to make the food into watery juice that you can turn into blood. So if you don't have saliva, you actually can't even start to digest the food you're eating. That means your life is going to be cut way short. So you need to save your saliva. Chewing and saliva go together. And that's the start of the digestion process. All right, that's the best way that Peter-Appleseed can explain it. Do you have any other questions that you want to go into for the next video?
I think the next video should be about
eating something, or I don't know. But this is Peter-Appleseed from People Eating Food, People Eating Stuff, the movie. Give us your feedback. And make sure you're subscribed to this channel. You know, that's what you really have to do.